There have been a ton of rumors, reports, news going around about star players potentially getting traded this offseason. And Raptors fans over the past few years have become accustomed to this team getting linked into any really big name that gets out there thrown on the trade market, whether it's Damian Lillard, whether it's Kevin Durant, whether it's Donovan Mitchell. Any of these guys, heck, we actually got one in Kawhi Leonard, 5 years ago at this point. So Raptors fans, when they see these big names get thrown out there on the trade market, they always turn their heads and see, hey, is there going to be a sneaky move? Is Masai Ujiri going to find his way to get into this blockbuster sweepstakes for one of these players? Well, I'm going to break down in this video the truth about a potential Toronto Raptors blockbuster trade and why it's different this offseason for this team. Because, again, Masai Ujiri's always had the swing for the fences. Let's make moves to win championships. But it feels like right now things are much, much different. So we're going to dive into that. Before we do, folks, again, over 52% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel. We want to keep you up to date with all of the latest Toronto Raptors news. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. But what's going on around the NBA? Because again, there's a ton of reports. Donovan Mitchell is playing for his legacy as a winner. That's all he wants to do. There's chatter he might leave Cleveland, or if he doesn't, then Darius Garland's going to end up getting dealt. That's the other report. The Cavaliers offseason, they're trying to facilitate Darius Garland being traded if Donovan Mitchell decides to stay, according to Brian Windhorst. So, two all-star guards available out there for Cleveland. There's even been some random rumors, like articles going out speculating the Raptors could potentially trade for Trae Young, as Jake Fisher essentially reports there's a growing belief amongst rival teams that this summer that they will also put all-star Trae Young on the league's trade block. The Raptors Atlanta Hawks have had a ton of trade conversations last year, particularly with DeJounte Murray, Pascal Siakam, and then DeJounte Murray re-signed, and then there was speculation that DeAndre Hunter deal could potentially go down with him coming to the Toronto Raptors. So again, the Raptors have been big name hunting for years. So people see all of these names, they see all of these players out there on the open market, and they say, hey, could this deal actually happen? Could the Raptors slide in? I mean, we have all of our draft picks right now and try to speed up this rebuild, especially after, the tumultuous year Raptors fans certainly had this season. Well, the truth about one of these potential packages, regardless of, the random articles that come out speculating about the Raptors potentially landing Trae Young or one of these dudes, there's just no world any of this happens. I don't care what the betting odds say this year, unless, things get crazy, because, again, I've not believed in trades in the past, and then we end up getting Kawhi Leonard, but basically, there's no world where Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, this Toronto Raptors front office is making a big swing for a star free agent or really a star trade at all this summer. This just doesn't make sense for the organization. No star player would want to come to this current Toronto Raptors team as currently constructed, as currently is, because frankly, this team isn't constructed to win now, isn't proven to win now, so that's going to lead to some turmoil on that front as well. And frankly, the Toronto Raptors have some in-house development pieces that they can sort of rock with, and essentially Bobby Webster has already addressed this in his season-ending press conference, essentially coming out and saying that we have the beginnings of a core here with the Toronto Raptors. We have three potentially, and potentially three picks, ended up being two. We have some cap flexibility, and we have some tradable contracts. There's a lot of things we need to get right. It's not going to be one or two big moves. It's going to be 5 to 10 different moves. That's a direct quote from Raptors general manager Bobby Webster, and frankly, the Raptors roster makes sense to have this approach. We have Emmanuel Quickley, we have RJ Barrett, and we have Scotty Barnes as three guys that are the centerpieces, as the core pieces of this Toronto Raptors core. That's just is what it is. And two of those three pieces would have to be traded if we were to sort of make a big blockbuster move, a big time trade this offseason with the Donovan Mitchell, with the Trae Young. IQ would have to be a sign trade, I guess. These are restricted free agents. I don't even know how that would get facilitated, but definitely RJ Barrett. One of those dudes, two of those dudes would have to be in any particular trade if the Raptors were to swing for the fences. But say we did throw RJ Barrett, IQ, and picks into a trade for Donovan Mitchell. Say that's the potential package. Again, I wouldn't do that, but again, say that's the route the Toronto Raptors go down. This team was a bottom feeder. This team was absolutely trash last season to close out last year following the trade deadline. Now, I'm of the personal belief that the injury sustained to this roster played a major part in that, but that just indicates the Raptors don't have the depth, they don't have the current full-out roster construction to really have confidence that if you brought in one big piece, and obviously you'd have to sacrifice to bring in a big piece, but even as is, if you brought in one more big piece, that it's going to be guaranteed that this team is going to, be in that upper echelon of contending status. Now, internal development of RJ, IQ, Scotty Barnes could potentially take that team into that next step, but we aren't proven to be at that current step to make a giant risk in trading future assets, trading draft picks, trading young pieces, trading all these types of things that you have to give up to make a potential blockbuster trade. This team has not proven that capability. And then you look at our tradable contracts, you look at the pieces that we actually have on this roster: Bruce Brown, Gary Trent Jr., Jakob Poeltl, all of these dudes, again, solid assets where there could be moves made around the edges, not even around the edges, but solid sort of pieces where, you make some smart decisions out of these sort of 5 to 10 moves. If you do end up trading a Gary, if you trade up some of these guys, again, there's also free agency stats. Chris Boucher's under contract. These are tradable assets, tradable pieces. So, but the reality about that is, unless Masai Ujiri has some brainwashing powers or something like that, you are not getting a star player for... I was about to say for Bruce Brown, but then Pacers got a star player for Bruce Brown. But again, they also traded 3 first-round picks. But basically, those types of players, in terms of the moves that Bobby Webster sort of addressed, are around the edges moves. Like the one we made, the first-round pick going to Utah and acquiring Ochai Agbaji as well as Kelly Olynyk. 2 great pickups, 2 great assets. You're taking a flyer on Agbaji, who was given up by, by 2 different teams, but still has tremendous defensive potential. That's a move, the 5 of the 10 moves that you just got to get right. You have a little incremental steps. Agbaji develops into something big and into something nice. As Masai Ujiri brought up, has the potential to be one of the best defenders in the NBA. Like, that's an opportunity this team has to get better. And those moves around the edges, what we do with Bruce Brown, what we do with Gary Trent Jr., what we do with Jakob Poeltl, keep them, trade them, build around this team make more sense. That's why these moves are so crucial and so important for this team, so we can level up, we can get to a point where, hey, we're, middle of the pack of the Eastern Conference, maybe even upper echelon of the Eastern Conference, and then, we're one of those big moves away, from contending status at that point. But we aren't there yet. We aren't at that point. And even though, there's chatter about Trae Young, there's chatter about all these types of things, Raptors fans should not get lost in the big-eyed sort of moves, the big-eyed players out there in the open market, the same way we potentially could have been, when we had OG, when we had Pascal Siak, when we had, heck, I know people hate him, but Fred VanVleet, guys that have been complementary pieces proven on a championship roster, but right now, we just don't have that proof. We don't have that evidence. We need to let these young guys develop, blossom into their own, and then see what comes of it. And then that's kind of the route that the Toronto Raptors should be going down. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see the Toronto Raptors make a swing for the fences blockbuster deal? Let me know in the comment section down below. But frankly, truth is, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be a deal that happens this offseason. Now, we get insane development. We get insane growth from Scotty, RJ, IQ. Maybe trade deadline. We trade for Victor Wembanyama. I don't know. You guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.